What's happening, Vault Hunters? We've got plenty of Borderlands 4 goodness to go over in today's video, including news around some big changes that are coming to the game in the form of many different buffs. Plus, the community seems to agree on one thing about a certain weapon manufacturer, but will Gearbox do anything to fix the issue? And there's one extremely overpowered weapon that the community has rallied behind. Will the dev team nerf it? I've got the answer straight from the developers on this one, and there's a very good reason you should be clearing vaults as your first priority in the game. And there's also one very surprising area of the game that may offer you up some legendary loot that you certainly don't want to skip. Then I'll be reading off your top comments as well. So Vault Hunters, let's dive into the news, shall we? So let's start the video with a Vault Hunter tradition. 2 new shift codes have been posted by Randy Pitchford. I'll put those up on the screen for you guys, and as always, you have about 24 hours to redeem these since this was posted yesterday. And yes, they include golden keys, so get to redeeming that, don't forget. And now let's talk about how Gearbox plans to buff underpowered gear in the game, something a lot of people have been requesting in the community. And this comes from director Graham Timmons, who says, "We've seen the discourse about builds that use unintended interactions and or the knife. We're not going to act on those immediately. Instead, we're looking at first round of buffs. Those will get addressed, but we're going to start with underperforming gear/skills first." So this is actually very good news about buffs, because as you know, most of the community, including us here at Open World Games, really want to see more buffs than nerfs. And in regard to the comment about leaving the knife alone for now, this actually spawned an entire Reddit thread of fellow Vault Hunters rejoicing. So NSWP Can Into Space said the following: "It seems like the crit knife gets to stay for a while yet." And then we have these responses from the HVAM, who says, "A much better way to do it. Better to buff other things too, so that there are more things that can be used, instead of making it so there are fewer things that can be used. Of course, if something is way too broken, it might have to be nerfed a bit, but still I hope they don't do it with this. It just makes it more fun." And 48 chimed in on this and said, "Music to my ears. I wish every developer did this instead of nerfing a million things while simultaneously not fixing game-breaking issues." And then finally, Canopus said, "I think they learned their lesson from Borderlands 3. It was just nerf after nerf after nerf, just destroying everyone's builds." And I totally agree with everyone's sentiment here about buffs versus nerfs. I also agree that I think it's better for them to buff everything first before they start nerfing everything, because if they start nerfing everything, it can cause people's builds to become incredibly weak, and then you have a bunch of unhappy Vault Hunters, of course. And don't worry, console Vault Hunters, we have a quick, simple update about the FOV Slider for consoles, and things are progressing well on that. So Psychic Raider posted, "Any latest on this FOV for console?" And Graham responded saying, "It's looking good. Don't have a date just yet." So at least we have good news on it, and I do believe they said it will be in the next upcoming console patch, so that's very good news. And it looks like players are not fans of a certain weapon manufacturer in the game, and it makes you wonder if they need to fine-tune these types of weapons. Now, this was posted by thegamer.com. They said Borderlands 4 fans say charge weapons are an immediate sell, and that order weapons simply are not fun. The article then goes on to read, "It's been a sticking point since the game launched a little over a week ago, as the series subreddit was immediately met with posts like 'order weapons are not fun,' as fans argued that a manufacturer's entire gimmick being that you have to charge their weapon was a bizarre choice." And then it says, "But others say that it's a skill issue, and when you get a handle on charging, order weapons are devastating, especially when spliced with Ripper mods. Wherever you land with billions of guns, again, Big B, there was always going to be a few that people didn't like, and those few turned out to be the orders. So, what camp are you guys in? Do you hate the order weapons like many other Vault Hunters seem to? Or are you in the camp of utilizing the damage output of the order weapons despite its annoying requirement to charge the weapon before firing? So here's my personal take on this. I do not like the order weapons. I'm definitely in the camp of not liking the order weapons. I do not like the whole charge thing, and I do think that Gearbox should consider looking at the order weapons and offering a lot more variety in terms of how the mechanics work of the weapon. I think in the future they should add more order weapons that don't require the recharge. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And we have a very good reason to clear all of the vaults as first priority. So this was posted by Jaco9. Hopefully I said that name right. They said, PSA, you should clear all the vaults as soon as possible. Now, this contains a little bit of a spoiler, I guess, in the post, but it goes on to say each vault gives you a permanent upgrade to your glide pack, and having all three combined is invaluable. As soon as you have access to all three main areas, getting the vault key fragments and doing the vaults should be your top priority. In total, completing all three vaults gives the following to your glide pack. You get recharges twice as fast, starts recharging twice as fast, and then consumes 50% less charge. They then go on to say the following: put together, this results in a massive boost to your mobility both in and out of combat. This is especially relevant when fighting enemies with the Sentry Pedal modifier, as having 4 dashes instead of 2 makes it far easier to escape the singularities. The loot from the vault bosses is nothing special, and they may be more difficult for you depending on where your build is at, but they are also worth farming if you want a legendary class mod for your class, as they have them as part of their dedicated loot pool. So yeah, this is actually a really good tip here, especially when you need those 4 dashes, because I've come into contact with those singularities that they mentioned, and I'm like, oh boy, I wish I had a couple more dashes on hand. And should loadouts be a thing in Borderlands 4? Osirico thinks so, and started this discussion on Reddit saying we should have loadouts. With the amount of cool and unique skill trees / builds we're able to utilize in this game, it's beyond me why we don't have loadouts. Why is it that if I want to switch to a different skill tree on the fly, I can't do that? Now, Eric, who responded and said they could just implement it into the respec machines. You can make a few loadouts and switch between them at will at any respec machine, but you still get charged the 10% of your total cash anytime you do. I love that suggestion right there. And Jazz Like Pickle said, I think there are group tags you can use to mark items for a loadout. And Infinite Virgil responded and said they actually showed those before launch, but I can't find them in the game. And DB Jenkins responded again, said strictly for gear, you have 4 tag groups, I think, that you can use to mark items as a part of a set. It's in the list where you mark items in your inventory to send to the bank as junk, favorite, etc. But it's just a tag on the items that makes them easier to find. You still have to equip it all one piece at a time. There's no option like that for the skill trees, however. So both skill trees and weapons need loadouts. I think that'd be awesome to see. There's so many times where I had a really cool loadout for my weapons, and then I ended up changing it up, and I wished I would have been able to save that loadout and go back to it, because I love the ability to have different weapons complementing each other and creating that perfect loadout for certain situations. So this is a really good suggestion right here. Oh, and there's one really surprising area of the game that can offer up some serious legendary loot. Check this out. It was posted by SundownLS1, who said, remember to always check those porta potties. And then they showed an image of a legendary attached to the porta potty door. And this is hilarious because I've seen multiple people say they've gotten some of their best legendaries from a porta potty. So always check the porta potties. I've been checking them for now on ever since seeing this. Let me know in the comments if you have found legendaries in any really wacky or weird spots. And now it's time to highlight your top comments, Vault Hunter, starting off with Joe Kane Volleyball, who says, I have definitely sold items I didn't want to in the inventory. I would click junk on one item and the item in the row above it will be junked instead. And I've had this happen multiple times. Thankfully, I caught it before I went to sell my items. But yeah, pay attention to when you're marking your items as junk. I believe we mentioned this in a couple of videos before, but I want to reiterate it again. This is indeed a problem that Gearbox definitely needs to look into. And Rodney Tozer 1754 said the following: for your information, after you complete the game, there is a gold key code at the end of the credits. Not sure if this was discussed. I just wanted to share. And I'm glad he shared that, by the way, because I totally missed the gold key. Thankfully, I was recording my gameplay so I can go back and play the credits again. So hopefully there's a way to go back in there and play the credits again in case you missed that golden key code, or someone can post it. I'm sure it's the same code for everybody. And Deathwish65 said, I'm hoping we get way more Vault Hunter outfits, and I second this right here. More customization for the Vault Hunters is always a bonus, and I can't wait for the new Vault Hunters coming up as well as a part of the DLC plan. So a lot of exciting stuff coming up. But yeah, guys, hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. There's going to be tons more Borderlands 4 news as we go into October, which will be having an event going on according to the post-launch roadmap. But I will see you guys later. Take it easy, Vault Hunters. Have fun out there in the Borderlands, and I'll see you out there.